I released a video in June explaining that I had resigned from my teaching position. I felt like it was really important to share my story because my story is not that unique. A lot of teachers have left recently or are considering leaving. So over the next few months, I want to share more vlogs with you about my experience. The experience of deciding to leave, what it was like in those last few months, and then how it goes for me as I transition out of the classroom and into my new career. In today's vlog, I'm going to focus in on what it was like when I decided to resign and how I decided to adjust my mindset because I had several months from the moment I decided to resign till the end of the school year. But before we get into it, make sure you've hit that red button below to subscribe. That is the best way to support me on my journey to becoming an independent educator. Being a teacher is more than just a job. For most of us, it's a part of our identity too. I even used to carry a bag that said, "My superpower is teaching" on it. It's just a piece of who you are. When I tell people that I'm a teacher, or when I told people that I was a teacher, I used to say it with pride, knowing that there was something behind that word that I couldn't quite describe, something I had chosen to opt into that I loved doing. I loved making my kids shine. I loved walking through the building. There was just so much pride that went with it. And that pride became a part of who I was and who I am today. But last summer, I came to a really tough realization that the job that I had just wasn't going to be sustainable for the long term. Right now I have a really great life in North Carolina and I don't have plans to leave. It's an amazing place to live. I have amazing friends here. I've built a life here. But something that has been coming into my focus more and more is the longer you stay in teaching in North Carolina, the less reward there is over time. Last summer, in summer 2021, I realized that was coming more and more into focus. I was rapidly coming close to year 15 of teaching. As I entered year 10, I knew that every year I'd get a little bit of a pay increase, but North Carolina got rid of longevity pay a while ago. From year 15 on, no pay increase, not even step increase or inflation increases, and so effectively over time, I would be making less each year. How would you feel knowing that you were just straight up told for the next 10 years you won't make any more money, even if there is inflation? There's no motivation, there's no reward, there's no reason to come to your job if you're told that you've just completely hit a ceiling and there's no more for you there. So last summer I knew I needed to start to plan. Whether it was to start a side hustle or change careers completely, I wanted to find a way to continue to better myself as a person and continue to better my wallet over time. I put myself on a 5-year plan to figure this out. But my last school year was just really tough. We entered school fully in person where I was, and well, it was kind of like going back with an ex-boyfriend.
Teaching is like a bad marriage. You never get your needs met, but you stay in it for the kids.
Everything that I'd been waiting for to happen, all of the amazing things that I loved and missed about being in my classroom, I realized that I had been really unhappy before the pandemic had hit. And it was only getting worse. The state and district added a ton of extra responsibilities on our plates. Extra trainings, extra surveys, new ways to grade, extra tests, just all sorts of things. I guess it was to make up for all the missing data for the last 2 years, but really it just amounted to a lot of busy work on my plate. I never really had enough time to keep up with the responsibilities of teaching pre-pandemic, and now I was barely keeping my head above water on a daily basis. I was so incredibly stressed. But then I had a wonderful winter break. I went home, I saw family, I relaxed, I went to the beach, and I just got time to cool off and recollect and get myself back together. I took a deep breath and I was ready to take on the second half of the school year. And then
this job is a work of the heart. And for many, many years, this has been pulling on my heart. And maybe it's time just to give my damn heart a rest and find something else for my heart, or just find something else to do.
It only took a week and a half of me being back for me to be more stressed than I was before. After venting a little bit into that video, I decided that I was just gonna privately decide to myself to resign. I didn't tell anybody, I didn't talk about it to anybody. I just said, let me hold on to this feeling and pretend that I am going to resign at the end of the year and see how it feels. Sit with it for a couple of weeks, couple of months even. Once I held on to that thought and allowed myself to think about it and hold on to it, it didn't take long. I went to work that week and By that Friday, as the door shut behind me and I walked out to the parking lot to go home, I knew it was real, and I decided that I really was going to resign at the end of that school year.
I finally understood that this just isn't going to work. The kids and I deserve better.
And it was wild because once I decided, I just continued to get affirmations that I had made the right decisions.
I went to school today. I was peaceful, I was relaxed, and I fooled myself. And during planning, I was die cutting something. I was like, oh, I love teaching, and like, this is so nice. And oh, I feel bad about what I decided. Like, I just started to fool myself into thinking otherwise. I want to remind myself in those moments that that is real. But I came home from school today to like an emergency email saying like, oh, it might snow on Friday, so tomorrow you need to spend your planning time, your precious planning time, coming up with your plans to teach remotely and do remote instruction Friday, just in case we go remote, which hasn't been called yet. So you're gonna waste your planning time to create slides, to do hours of live instruction on Zoom for the kids, even though it hasn't been called. And also, these kids have never been on Zoom before, so you need to spend instructional time tomorrow teaching them how to get onto Zoom and how to do this. All for what could be a snow day. If I'm going remote, I would like it to be, here's a teacher work day, and we're remote for 2 weeks. Or here's time, and not just hey guys, it's snowing outside, but you need to sit in here on Zoom. Just reminded me oh yeah, I'm not quitting because of my students or anything like that. I'm quitting because of the system, and it won't stop.
I decided that time was on my side. I reached out to my network. Honestly, I really didn't know what a lot of my friends did because I was so in love with teaching. I just hadn't really thought about it. Oh, you work at a bank? Cool. You just touch money all day? I didn't really know. So I started calling friends who had made major career changes, did things that sounded a little bit interesting, and just started getting coffee with them to find out what was out there for me. It gave me time to breathe, and it gave me time to plan. In the meantime, my husband, Mr. Mike, kept encouraging me to continue on with this channel. He promptly got to work turning the room that I'm sitting in right now from our guest room into our home recording studio. But I also decided to have some fun. If this was gonna be my last year teaching my sweet babies, then it was gonna be a good year, and I was gonna pull out all the stops to make it the best year for me and for them. Half the time I was thinking at work, oh, it's the last time. Let's make it a good time. And the other half of the time I was thinking, that's the last time. And it made every moment just have so much more purpose and meaning and excitement, or it instantly relieved me of stress knowing that certain issues just wouldn't affect me anymore. I wanted to make the last time as good as it could be because, well, now I'm doing this. I'm going to be working on this YouTube channel full-time and expanding the Primary Focus brand. I've got a newsletter. You can find me on Teachers Pay Teachers. I have a full website as well, and I am seeing how I can leave my mark on the world as an educator without having to deal with all of the stressors that were bringing me down. I don't really know what's ahead. There's a lot of trial and error going on here, but I'm really excited for the journey, and I'm excited to try. It feels really good to explore and create and rely on myself in a way that I never have before. If you've got ideas or you want to know more, reach out to me. I'm excited to have you along for the ride and see what we can turn Primary Focus into. Anyway, I'll see you for the next vlog. The next one I'll post will be about that last month in the classroom and saying goodbye to a world that I have known and lived the last 10+ years. But until then, make sure you've hit that subscribe button below. If you want to sign up for my newsletter, I've got the link for that in the description. And I'll see you next time. Bye.